Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about India, more specifically India's economic journey post-colonization by the British Empire. You see, India today may be known for its cultural heritage, food, or some pretty big names in management. But India's fame in the modern global economic scenario is fairly nascent. Although the country claimed its independence from the colonial rule in 1947, the buzz in the global markets just started in the early 2000s. So, why was India so quiet before the 2000s? And why is there so much buzz around this Southeast Asian country? Let's find about India's amazing journey and stay tuned till the end of this video to know all the details on how India became the India you know today. So, let's get started. India today is home to the second largest population in the world, which accounts for a fifth of all population in the world and is expected to overtake China by 2027. India is also the fastest growing trillion-dollar economy in the world, overthrowing its previous title holder, China. And although institutions like Goldman Sachs predict that India will become one of the top 3 economies in the world by 2050, this will be only possible with great management and great leadership. As for now, India stands with a nominal GDP of $2.94 trillion and is the fifth largest economy of the world. But still, to this day, over half of the population still works in agriculture, and poverty is still a huge problem in India. India, over the past 2 decades, has seen an amazing growth spurt. But what led India to this sudden development? To understand this, we need to go back in time. Welcome to post-colonial India. India claimed its independence on 15th August 1947, and Indian economic policy after independence was influenced by the colonial experience. Since India had served over a century under the servitude of British Empire, Indian policymakers and leaders did not want policies that could bring foreign influence to its newly free country and adopted protectionist form of economy. Now, protectionism is a policy that favors the goods manufactured in its own country than the goods imported from abroad. This is done by imposing taxes on goods so that the domestic manufacturers and vendors get a fair chance to compete against big foreign companies, and countries all over the world have some form of protectionism embedded in their foreign trade policy. But there was a different reason for India to adopt this type of policy. You see, India had experienced first-hand colonization for over a century and did not want to undergo through similar experience again. So it focused on manufacturing everything on its own and mostly shut their doors for foreign trade. This was done by state intervention at micro level in all businesses and import substitution industrialization under state monitoring. India's model was named the 5-year Plan of India, which resembled the central planning of the Soviet Union. Also, India in the 1950s effectively nationalized most of its industrial sector by imposing elaborated licenses, regulations known as the License Raj. Now, by imposing so many policies and licenses, it was extremely difficult to form businesses in India. Plus, businesses were closely monitored by the state and a selected few. Doesn't this sound like a communistic governance? So, some may argue India's policy making was largely communistic, but it wasn't. India had adopted a weird mixture of Fabian socialism and central planning of a communist nation. Now, India functioned with this policy for over 40 years, and during this time, the annual growth rate was very stagnant. In the 1980s, India reported its economy to be just $189 billion, but this was all about to change. Now, 1991 was the year when Soviet Union collapsed. Since Soviet Union was a major trade partner of India, India now faced a crunch for industrial support and trade. Now this was also the year where oil prices spiked, making developing nations like India struggle for these resources. Now for a country that was functioning on protectionism policy, they could not rely on other nations for support. Hence, India started facing balance of payment problem, which soon culminated to the government facing the possibility of defaulting on its debts. This situation was so bad that India could barely finance 3 weeks' worth imports. Now, during this time of crisis, India had to pledge 67 tons of gold to various international banks and had to abandon its protectionist policies and deregulate the license Raj to accept free trade with various nations as a part of a bailout deal with the International Monetary Fund. Since the bailout by the IMF, India has welcomed foreign enterprise with open arms and has seen unprecedented growth rates. With the advent of the information-based industries in the early 2000s, India has seen growth like no other, with the economy doubling every 5 years. Since then, India's low labor costs and its large consumer base has attracted various multinational companies and investment hubs to flock into this country, helping in turn in transitioning it to a more industrialized nation. Today, India stands as the 5th largest economy in the world with an estimated GDP of $2.94 trillion. India, for its growth, has implemented several new policies such as increasing foreign direct investment to 49% from 26% in 2015, GST goods and services tax in 2017, and reducing corporate taxes to 22% in 2019. The government has also opened up industries that were previously run by the government, increasing privatization of these sectors. Well, in my opinion, India has great potential to become one of the economic powerhouses of the world. Today, India has relatively cheap labor as compared to its neighbor China. Political relationships with most countries is also sound and is blessed with adequate resources. India also has the largest youth population, which could mean a very large consumer base and a very large working class people. India has most, if not all, the factors to form a large economy. All India needs is good management, good policy making, and education to bolster its growth to economic supremacy today. Let's wait and watch what the future has stored in for us. So this is all about India's journey to what it is today. I tried to explain the pre-colonial era and the transitioning that we are in today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like to see similar content, please smash that like button down below and also hit the subscription button while you are at it. I'll come up with another video very soon. Until next time, me out.